The one figure that immediately comes to mind when you think of Dortmund's black and yellow colours is Marco Reus, the man who stayed with this team at a time when he could have easily moved on to greener pastures. He etched his name alongside the likes of Totti, Letizia and Jamie Vardy, whose loyalty towards their respective clubs is unquestionable. Marco Reus has announced his departure from Dortmund at the end of the 2023-24 season. After 11 long years, the FIFA 17 poster boy is ready to let go, and honestly, who can blame him? He has struggled with injuries throughout his professional life, and the timing of some injuries has been extremely unfortunate. Like the injury that sidelined him right before the 2014 FIFA World Cup, which Germany went on to win. Reus gave up his captaincy at the start of the 2023-24 season to the experienced Emre Can. This decision was taken with the foresight of his departure plans at the end of the season. After a grueling yet underwhelming domestic season, Borussia Dortmund find themselves within grasping distance of the most prestigious club trophy. Dortmund have booked a spot at Wembley on the 1st of June as Champions League finalists. They will face Real Madrid in London. As destiny would have it, Marco Reus will play his final match for Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League final. This final matchup could certainly make or break his legacy in terms of silverware. Either way, one of the best players of the past decade will finally leave Dortmund. But were you aware that Dortmund didn't always fancy Reus to be part of their team when his career was beginning to take shape in his teens? Marco Reus hails from the city of Dortmund and was born on the 31st of May 1989. Reus's parents saw Marco van Basten's iconic volley in Munich at the Euros held in 1988 and decided to name him after the legendary Dutch striker. Simpler times. He joined a local club by the name of Post SV Dortmund as soon as he turned 4. This was quite normal for European families that loved football. The coach for Post SV Dortmund back then, Andreas Sherman, fondly remembers Reus as the skinny kid who held his own against bigger opponents. He was always good on the ball and loved playing, whether at the club or even back home. Reus became obsessed with football at a young age. This early enthusiasm also convinced his parents to let him play as much as he wished. After 2 years with the local team, Reus started showing excellent technical traits and promptly joined the youth team of Borussia Dortmund in 1996. He spent the next decade at the academy learning the ways of German football. In that era of European football, physicality was considered a much more influential trait in a player than it is today. Marco Reus was as skinny as they came, but extremely sound in the technical department. He supported Borussia Dortmund and was a part of their academy for the past 10 years. The next step at the age of 17 was to join the ranks of Borussia Dortmund's senior squads. At the age of 17, with dreams to play for his local club, Reus was trying his best in the academy. One fine day he was deployed as a defender after being on the bench. This was a bit strange as he was usually deployed as a creative outlet. A few days later, he was told by the club that his lanky shape meant that they couldn't envision him turning professional. This implied an immediate release from the club. In 2013, Reus commented on his time at the academy back then. He said, "It was very painful for me to leave. When you spend your whole youth career at one club, you want to make the next step, especially when you support that team." A lifelong Borussia Dortmund fan, Reus was heartbroken. He didn't waste any time sulking, however, and joined German 3rd Division team Rot-Weiss Aalen. After a season with the under-17s, he played for the under-19s and started brightly with a goal each in his first 2 appearances. The following year, he became a part of the first team after scoring 20 goals in 14 matches for the under-19s. He played another season for the senior team in 2008-2009 and became a confident footballer. He was known for his creativity and athleticism down the left wing, sometimes playing as the number 10 or even as a second striker. Marco Reus was an up-and-coming name in German football by this point. Bundesliga clubs had started keeping track of him. In the summer of 2009, Borussia Mönchengladbach signed Marco Reus on a 4-year contract for a mere fee of 1 million euros. The world took notice of his first Bundesliga goal against Mainz as he cleverly ran about 60 meters with the ball before scoring a brilliant goal. This was just a sign of better things to come. He ended up with 8 goals and 4 assists in his debut season of his Bundesliga tenure. 2010-11 was another encouraging season as his tally went up to 10 goals and 9 assists in the Bundesliga. But his best season for Borussia Mönchengladbach was the next and last one. In 2011-12, Marco Reus was a world-renowned talent as he scored 10 goals by match week 13 in the German top flight. The whispers amongst clubs and agents regarding a possible €18 million release clause had started gaining traction. He ended up with 21 goals and 14 assists by the end of the season. One club that was extremely interested in the services of Reus was none other than Borussia Dortmund. Almost 7 years after releasing him, the club was ready to double down on Marco Reus again. In the summer of 2012, Marco Reus was back at Borussia Dortmund. The arrival of Reus coincided with Robert Lewandowski, Mario Götze and Jurgen Klopp at the club. The front three was one of the most technically gifted trios at the time. The lethal shooting range of Lewandowski and Reus was a spectacle to anticipate and cherish. These three also formed an inseparable bond off the pitch, which probably helped their chemistry while playing as well. Jurgen Klopp's relentless pressing out of possession was taking Europe by storm. The debut season for Reus saw him take on a lot more responsibilities as his creative spark blossomed into an efficient standard of play across the pitch. One of his best and most unpredictable qualities was his shooting. He had perfected his shooting technique to the point where it seemed that the ball swerved at his will. Dortmund was pitted in the group of death in the Champions League that season, with Ajax, Manchester City and Real Madrid for company. Reus scored a goal against each of these sides in the group stages and comfortably qualified for the round of 16. The second leg of the quarterfinals saw Malaga leading 2-1 in the 82nd minute at Borussia Dortmund's home. Reus came in clutch at the 90th minute as he scored an equaliser, which was followed by another Dortmund goal to seal their semi-final spot against Real Madrid. This was where Robert Lewandowski announced himself to the world properly, slotting 4 past a stunned Real Madrid side. Reus assisted 2 of those, and Dortmund were on their way to the Champions League final against bitter rivals Bayern Munich. In the final at Wembley against Bayern, the world watched as the game looked poised to be heading to extra time and possibly penalties. An 89th minute Arjen Robben goal crushed any hope of a miracle story as Bayern Munich won their 5th Champions League title. This was also the first instance of rumours swirling around Bayern Munich's heavy interest in signing Reus, especially as Ribéry and Robben were reaching their twilight years. Jokes about Marco Reus being the pride of Dortmund and the bride of Munich were spreading around Germany. The following seasons saw the departure of his close friends Robert Lewandowski and Mario Götze. The worst part was that they left to join Bayern Munich. Götze was even scared to tell Reus when the confirmation came through. Marco Reus bled black and yellow. Even though he had faced a few injuries up till this point, they had never threatened to derail his promising career. In the 2013-14 season, he missed 18 games due to injuries, which was unusually higher than the maximum of 6 in previous seasons. But this got worse over time, as the next season saw him miss 24 games. The most disappointing injury was the blow that came just before the World Cup in 2014. An ankle injury meant he had to pull out of the Germany squad getting ready for the tournament. Germany went on to win the World Cup, and the only appearance Reus made was there in the form of Mario Götze holding up his shirt after winning the biggest trophy that football has to offer. The most astonishing thing about an injured Reus, though, was his will to come back stronger each time. You could see how hard he worked during his time off and tried to constantly better his game. One of the most unappreciated parts of his game is the defensive contribution and intelligence in duels. He has a smaller frame, but makes up for it with lightning quick tackles and smart feints. The toll that injuries have taken on his career cannot be understated though. He missed 42 games in the 2016-17 season, followed by 49 games in the 2017-18 season. Issues with ligaments and his ankles have been recurring, while his luck seems to be almost non-existent in such matters. Marco Reus was then named club captain at the start of the 2018-19 season. The once young Reus, being pitted as the next Ballon d'Or winner, was suddenly the experienced captain with youngsters like Jadon Sancho, Jude Bellingham and Erling Haaland to mentor. Time flew away like it does for all of us, but wow, did he embrace this new leadership role well. He guided the youngsters around him and always put the team first. Reus has been named the German Player of the Year 3 times, once for Mönchengladbach and twice for Dortmund. The legacy Reus leaves behind is being the face of Dortmund for a decade and pulling the club to new heights. But in terms of silverware, there really isn't a lot to show. Dortmund are now within touching distance of the trophy they lost out to 11 years ago. That night, which was also held at Wembley Stadium, saw most neutrals rooting for Jurgen Klopp's gegenpressing side to topple the favourites and domestic rivals Bayern Munich. More than a decade since then, Marco Reus will play his final game for Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League final. This time, the world is rooting for Reus again, and honestly, barring Madridsters, no one would mind favourites Real Madrid missing out. The stage is set for an 11-year-long journey for redemption to finally pay out. Thanks for watching Sports Key to Football. Remember, we have weekly content about your favourite football stars and drama from around the sport across the world. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more videos about the beautiful game.